Hey there, beautiful souls. Have you ever been in a friendly debate with somebody and they begin a statement with, no offense, but you brace yourself because you fear that what's coming next will indeed offend you and possibly hurt your feelings? As much as you may not want to, you take what is said personally and conflict ensues. Oddly enough, if it's not an outward conflict with the person that you're talking to, I experience more of an internal conflict. Like, oh my gosh, what they said, this really hurt my feelings, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to pretend as though I'm cool. What if we told you it doesn't have to be that way? Stick around and find out why we tend to take things personally, how awareness is key in shifting that, and where to start. Welcome to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show. We are live on the newstreamingnetwork.com TV, podcast, and WGSN-DB Going Solo Radio. I am, if you like our content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. We are here with our second Be Here Now Book Club edition episode, and we are tackling the topic in the agreement of don't take anything personally. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with my co-host in peace, Miss
Janice Leonard. Hi, everybody. Yay. So great to have you here. Love sharing our stories, our thoughts, our growth, our tools, and especially today's topic affected me this week quite a bit. So I hope you enjoy it as much as we will enjoy it. We are Judy and Janice. We are part of a 501c3 nonprofit organization, which means you can donate and get to deduct it through your taxes. We do this for free, for negative money, and we appreciate any support you can give, whether it's listening, whether it's donating, however you can. If you want to donate, go to our website, www.peacefulempowermentworks.org. And there's a donate button on the top of the page and the bottom. So we appreciate your support, whether it's pressing like, whether it's donating, whether it's commenting or listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, speaking of appreciation, we did have someone win the book last week. Last week, the first person who made a comment, I got to give them this free book of the 4 agreements. And Wendy DiCarlo, yay! Was our first commenter. So I sent it out, and I hope she enjoys it. I'm trying to think of another fun one for the 4th one. Well, maybe the 3rd one too. We'll see how I'm feeling. If I can figure something that's appropriate. I've got all kinds of bracelets that I got for trying to sell them. So nothing used. It'll be new. I'll go all out.
The heart will bring something through. I have no doubt. All right, Janice, would you like to ring us in?
Oh, I would, yes.
All right, everybody get comfy. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth.
That kind of went through my body. Woo!
Excellent. All right. We're just going to glide. After that, I feel like gliding. We're going to glide right into our weekly affirmation.
When poison is given to me, I let it pass through me. It is their story, not mine. Whew. And to be able to do that is just a gift. Yeah. Somehow I'll fit in my stories this week, but amen. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. When I read this is another Janice original. When I read this last night, it made me think of something that Jen's father used to say when we would be in circle together and we would talk about forgiveness. When we refuse to forgive, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So
It's
it
true.
made me think about the words and what we choose to take personally and what we don't, and how it all affects us, whatever decision or choice we make, as well as you made a comment in our pregame meeting about how, you know, being impeccable with your word, which was our agreement last week, means you pay attention to what you say and how you're saying it. Because yes, we don't have control over how people receive what we say, but when we say it in love, with the intention of love, we are doing the best we can to keep things to be impeccable with our word. So that
to ourselves and others.
Exactly. Yeah, deep thoughts. That's it made me happy, Janice. All
Good.
right, so this is week 2 of our book club for the 4 agreements. So in case anybody is just joining us for the first time this week, we thought we'd do a quick little review of the first agreement. We'll review the little authored idea, and we don't have to go through everything that we said last week. We just want to give the highlights so that we can flow right into the second agreement. And, Don Miguel Ruiz was born into a family of healers in rural Mexico. We talked about Toltec wisdom and what that is. It's ancient wisdom, which he brought forward. I believe the copyright of this book was 1997. And his teachings focus on common sense principles. We live in a world that doesn't make any sense. So common sense principles are like revolutionary.
That's true.
And they can lead to significant life changes when we apply them. So we feel like we wanted to take this challenge, and we have each been in contact and been aware of this book for quite some time. So it was great to go back and reread it again, because there are new things popping as we heal on a spiral. We always go back and revisit things and see them at a deeper level. So it's been really cool rereading the book again, because it's helping me remember where I was when I read it the first time. So this is our man, Don, and so there, if we can switch to that next slide, we're just going to touch base on how the 4 agreements can transform your life through your mindset, emotional healing. It helps improve relationships, and can help your life feel more fulfilling, because you live a more authentic and fulfilling life when you are aligned with your true self. So it's all about getting to the core of you. And when you are able to get to the core of you, in order to do that, you have to shift your mindset from the domestication agreements that we agreed to when we were young, and we've been living on autopilot. So we'll go right back. First agreement was be impeccable with your word, speak with integrity, say only what you mean, avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. And again, we said last week, that sounds very simple, but it's a very, very powerful agreement and tool to use. You want to switch to that next one too, Silveria, please? There we go. Janice, you want to review this for the peeps?
Sure. Through your word, you express your creative power. It's through the word that you manifest everything. Regardless of the language you speak, your intention manifests through the word. What you dream, what you feel, what you really are will be manifested through the word. Depending on how it's used, the word can set you free or it can enslave you, even more than you know.
So true. So true. And last week we left you with something to think about. We gave you some homework. We gave you a question, and we just want to touch base. When was the last time you said you were going to do something, but it didn't end up doing it? How do you feel about not doing what you said you would? And what was the benefit? Is it a pattern? Is it an opportunity to beat yourself up because that's what you're used to? So, Janice, were you able to think about a time when you said you were going to do
Well,
something and didn't end up
well,
doing it?
what's interesting is because I'm getting ready for today's show and I'm thinking about the second agreement, I ended up thinking the first agreement first on a lot of things. It was like, okay, am I being true to myself? Am I speaking the truth? So every time I had something come up, even though it really was things about the second agreement, I realized that I was going through the first agreement first and I was being true to myself. I was being honest. And when I wasn't, I had to stop and think about, okay, and whose voice is this now? Is this my voice? Is this her voice? Is this, who? So it was really interesting because one concrete thing example is had to pick up my granddaughter at school. She's had a very difficult week and she had to come home one day. And I was picking her up and she was crying. She was so upset. And she says, I'm sorry, I disappointed you because I wanted to make it through the day. I didn't want to disappoint you. And I said, oh my gosh. First of all, that was her truth, and she doesn't often speak her truth. And the fact that she said that, I didn't even have any idea that my influence on her was so that was an issue for her or thought. So that was so powerful. And all I felt then is love, for her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting how really she initiated the honest word to me. And it gave me wings. I was able to be so loving to her because, when someone's in that place, when they're fight or flight, place, you can't lecture them or anything. It's time to give love, and it's hard. You struggle. You kind of have mixed feelings a lot of times, but that just put me right on the love track.
That's awesome. That's awesome. This is a funny one because, being impeccable with your word was something we were throwing around all week since we had the show. Oh, was that impeccable? Was that impeccable? Keeping everybody in check. But the biggest example of me not being impeccable with my word was I was putting beer into the refrigerator and we have those neat plastic organizer things. And I unfortunately filled it before trying to put it in the refrigerator. And when I went to put it on the top shelf, they all came crumbling down on top of me.
Oh, I hope they weren't glass.
No. Beer cans all over the kitchen. And luckily none of them busted open, but that threw me into a whole diatribe of what a dumbass, what a fucking dumbass you are. Why did you load it out? Why didn't you just put it in the refrigerator and load it in there? Blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden I hear this voice. It was Jen say, that's not very impeccable now, is it?
Oh. Oh my gosh. If anybody else has an example like that, type it below and we'd share it with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah, because, and then me being the stubborn bullhead, it is impeccable because I mean everything I said.
That's right. It's my true self.
It is my true self. So yeah, when it was all said and done, it felt really silly, but
perfect example though, huh?
Yeah, and I'm asking, what was the benefit of me doing that? There was no benefit. I was able to release my anger, but why the verbal attack against myself? I don't know. That is definitely an old pattern, and I had to work to give myself grace because that's what we talked about. You got to give yourself grace. This is a process. And I do pretty good until I'm triggered into that anger because of something that I've done that I feel stupid for doing.
Yeah. It's not black and white. You're not perfect or terrible. You're always in between. And
we're growing.
It's the journey.
That's the thing. Yep. We're growing. That's the best we can ask for ourselves. So that, covers the homework where we had pay attention to when you've been impeccable and when you haven't. So anybody else that wants to share an example of what they've been
Wendy DeCarlo's comment, our first our first comment from Wendy again. Thank you, Wendy. I did mail out the book too, and I didn't send it media because they said it would take weeks. So it's not media.
All right. Janice, what do you think about us taking an early commercial break and then coming back and starting with our second agreement?
Oh, that works great for me.
All right. So there you go. Let's let it roll.
Yay.
Welcome back to Be Here Now Book Club. We are talking about The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and we are going to begin our second agreement. Our second agreement. Don't take anything personally.
Oh, Wendy has it right on her desk. You got the book on your desk? Wow. That was fast.
Yeah. Excellent.
See?
All right. So don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. Whew.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. It was funny because I said, Maddie, my daughter, was asking about, the show. And I was like, yeah, we have the second agreement this week. And she said, what's that? I said, don't take anything personally. Her response was, well, that's easier said than done.
That's for sure.
Which prompted the next slide. There it is. Well, that's easier said than done. Thank you, Maddie. Why is that the case?
That's
we
right.
ask ourselves, why is it the case? And in the book, it says, during the period of our education or our domestication, we learn to take everything personally. We think we are responsible for everything. It's me, always me. Personal importance or taking things personally, this one got me, is the maximum expression of selfishness. Say that again. The maximum expression of selfishness, because we make the assumption that everything is about me. Yeah, let that one sink in for a minute.
Yeah. I know years ago, because I used to have all these anxiety and about, they said that or I said this, they take it out, they take it, and oh no, they're talking. Is it talking about me? They talk about me. And how I helped myself stop being so paranoid is saying that is who you think you are, that they'd be talking about you, which isn't exactly a loving way to learn that lesson.
I just heard that goes back to be impeccable with your word.
That's right. So, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's funny. I have to say with Maddie, she's another one that drilled this one home because after the divorce, I was so hypersensitive to how she was feeling and blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, Maddie, are you okay? Did I do something wrong? Did I? And she was like, Mom, not everything's about you.
Woo! Hey, Maddie.
Woo! She is absolutely right.
The way I do that's a little different. It's like when I picked up Adriana and she's in one of those really bad spaces. I think it's all about me to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It's I need to fix it. What can I do? And it's me. And it's not about me. It's about her journey, her lessons. That is so hard to let go of that and to not say, okay, this is about me.
Yeah. out of that was bred the whole, if it's about me, you're going to have to let me know, because otherwise I'm going to assume it isn't. And boy,
Yeah.
was that
You
for
said that. Yeah, you said that to Maddie, didn't you?
Yes. That's an
Yeah.
agreement we have with each other. If it's about her, I'm going to let her know. If it's about me, she's going to let me know. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we don't have to mind fuck ourselves trying to figure out what we did to upset the
Yeah.
other.
And it's not my job to think about I'm the person who has to fix it. Which is more than this, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. To think of it as being selfish was interesting, because it took me back to when I was sitting in circle and being the people pleaser and trying to make people, it's my job to make people happy, and her telling me, well, that's very arrogant of you. Who do you think you are that you can make other people happy? It's not your job. And to think that you have that power, that's very arrogant. And I was like, oh, this selfish goes right along with arrogant. Woo!
Oh yeah. It's true.
Yeah. Did anybody else, did that selfish connection, did that hit anybody else out there? Make a comment and let us know. Okay, so there were a couple, I like to call them drop the mic, I'm done moments when I was reading the book, reading this chapter again. And I really feel like these are some powerful things that can take you from offended victim to peacefully empowered. When we take something personally, we make the assumption that they know what is in our world, and we try to impose our world on their world. Never thought of it that way. Yes, I want them to understand my point of view, and that's where the debating and the conflict can start. Then when you take things personally, then you feel offended, and your reaction is to defend your beliefs and create conflict. You make something big out of something so little because you have the need to be right and to make everyone else wrong. I was like, whoo, baby.
Yeah, because I mean, if that's their world, that's their perception, that's how they. So instead of taking it as, oh, that's really interesting, and understanding it, you think, oh no, that goes against what I stand for. That's not right. They need to understand my view, So
right.
so yeah, you're not. You need to, This is my lesson. I'm trying to learn. You need to accept that that's their vision, and honor it instead of arguing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we don't. The biggest thing is we don't know what they've been through in their childhood, so to create the world that they have. So, just like you said, when we can sit in the position of curiosity and learning more and more about one another without judgment and defending and all these things, I think we'll find out we have a lot more in common than what we can imagine. It's being able to sit in that space of people feeling safe enough to speak openly and freely without the concern of offending people, hurting people's feelings.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because how much have I in my life have I not said or expressed because I was worried about hurting people's feelings?
Mm-hmm. And when we're impeccable with our word and we're speaking our truth with that love, then the intention is to share with love. And again, we can't control how it's received because they receive it through their eyes, but we know that we are being true and honest to us and showing up in love. And that makes a big difference. It makes a very big difference. You take it personally because this is another one, you agree with what was said. You take it personally because somewhere in you, there's a belief that it's right.
But what if Wendy DiCarlo is saying, but what if this situation affects both people? Now, each trying to get their point across. Whose story is it then? How do you resolve it?
Excellent
That is
question.
a good question.
Well, I think the biggest thing I'm hearing right now is for both parties involved to be able to sit with non-judgment, listening with an open heart and an open mind to each other's points. And then when you do that, you can ask questions to gain more insight. Because, conflict comes from, I'm hearing knee-jerk responses. When we sit and talk for understanding of where each other's coming through, then there's common ground. There's common ground that you can meet on. And as soon as we take something personally, the walls go up. The defense starts.
And if you can openly, I know again, easier said than done, but listen to somebody's their world openly, and you express your world openly, maybe they match and you don't even know it, or maybe you just need to agree to disagree.
And sometimes that's where you go. It's funny, Wendy, because I'm hearing ask more questions. When you don't understand what's being said or being shared, ask more questions. Because when we seek deeper understanding, that person feels heard. You want to be heard, they want to be heard. So ask whatever questions need to be asked for that deeper understanding. And in that process, you will find, like Janice said, you're either going to find common ground or we agree to disagree.
I've got an example. I don't exactly know the answer for. Now that Wendy's got me thinking. Thank you, Wendy. My stepson, who is still in recovery from addiction, in my opinion, he's still got a lot of dysfunction, going on in his life. And what happened is a few months ago, I asked him, because he was trying to come every other weekend to visit his daughter, who's my granddaughter, who I raise. And so I said, I'm mixing two stories up, but the one that matters is I said, make sure you call me. They keep me in the loop, because he started to not keep me in the loop, because I need to know what's going on and make sure the schedule works. Because what happened is that week before he had made plans straight with Adriana to let me know, and my other grandson was there who he's not supposed to see. So talk about a little dysfunction going on. There's all kinds of things going on there. So I told him that week, just come after 10:30 today. Mm-hmm. Again, I think I'm just being honest, and I didn't know what I was going to do to deal with the situation, because the grandson's adopted mother did not want them to be together, and I respect that. But he's taken that along with my comment about keeping me in the loop. He said to my granddaughter, "Well, I can't come see you because, and I can't see you this weekend because I've got to get approval from. I have to get approval first." In other words, so it's like, whoa. So he took you take I just told him not to come till 10:30 that day. He always just comes whenever, and it's not a problem.
Right.
And it took that to keep me in the loop, so I know. And it got changed to now he has to ask permission. And and then how much do you keep on going with it? Well, okay, so do I, impeccably say to him now, respond to that? But no, he didn't tell me. He told her, and then I'm feeding into this dysfunction. I don't know. So I'm right there, and how do I speak this and do it in my world, respecting his and not really knowing where to go.
It's funny because I'm hearing that a text to him just simply stating, I'm sorry, you seem to have misunderstood the intention of what I said. I'm not saying that you need to ask permission to come. I just need to know your plan and what time you're going to arrive, because there are other issues at play. And that's the truth of it.
Yeah. True. And this is so interesting what I'm going to say to you. Is my initial thought is, but when he's in this place, he's going to take anything I say wrong.
Okay. So that's why it's not about him, it's about you. You want to be.
There's so many there was so many levels to that thought. I was thinking, first of all, yeah. Am I being true to myself? Well, I guess there's a little part of it just doesn't want to be in that dysfunctional world with him, so I don't want to respond. So I don't know. Okay.
It's something to think on.
Interesting. Yeah.
Definitely. Something to think about. I was telling Janice that revisiting the book again took me back to the first time I had read through it. And of course, so it was a big thing around here when Tammy was here and Maddie, when I was talking about not taking things personally and how it's a projection of your issues, and when you're trying to impart your world on somebody else's world. And Tammy and I were having a heated disagreement, and I said something about, when you do that, you make me feel. And she looked at me and said, "Don't put your issues on me."
Ooh.
Stopped me dead in my tracks, because she was right. A, I was putting the ticket to my happiness and my worth in her pocket. And B, I was throwing the fact that I wasn't happy on her. I wasn't taking responsibility for me. Now, I understand this at a much deeper level now than I did then, but it definitely ended the conversation. It ended the conflict, because she was right. I had to think about, all right, what's really going on here? Why am I so upset? And it's up to me to figure it out and resolve it.
Jen says, all you can do is speak from a place of love. You can't control the filter that he or anyone hears with. Oh, true.
Amen.
Thank you, Jen.
Amen. So I was telling Janice, I have work shirts, because I do have a business called Powered by Your Soul. And for years, "Don't put your issues on me" was the back of my shirt.
That is great.
And it drummed up conversation quite a few places, where it gave me the opportunity to explain to the best level I knew about what it meant. Because people found it interesting that here I am, an intuitive counselor, carrying a message on my back that says, "Don't put your issues on me."
Oh.
Uh-huh. But it was a conversation starter, because
I bet it was.
there we could talk about taking responsibility for how you show up and all those wonderful things. But yeah, it was funny. It took me right back to those t-shirts, because that day stopped me dead in my tracks.
Yeah, that was the moment you got it, huh?
Yes, that was the moment I got it, for sure.
Or at least it went another level lower, deeper of understanding. Yeah. Yeah. What time is it? Do we have more slides? Because I got to do the story.
You have enough? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Share your story, Jan.
Oh my gosh. So this is all part of the steps on dysfunction, but one of his kids, who I took a lot when she was young, because he wasn't in the picture, and we felt, oh my gosh. So we took her, I don't know, every weekend, I'm not sure. We took her a lot, regularly, and we were there. But then they moved to Maine, very northern Maine, which triggers me, because someone left me. I don't like it when people move away. And B, I just right about that time we took Adriana in, and that was very difficult. And so it was hard to keep a regular relationship with her. And I would say, and I'm not one to talk on the phone. I don't like talking on the phone. It was hard, and I know that I wasn't there for her consistently. I think her mother pointed out to me once, "You're not there consistently for her." I wasn't, and I feel bad about that. That's my part of it. So she started blocking me on social media and that, and I was like, oh. So this is about 2 years ago. The only one I could reach her on. I said, I see that you're trying to push me away, and that's fine. I respect that. And when you're ready to talk and be, work this out, get hold of me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the graduation that we went to last Friday, apparently her mother and the new husband and 2 kids from that new husband had moved back to our area, and the son was graduating. So he was at the graduation with us, and Adriana saw her half sister. And, we haven't seen her in a while. And she said, hi. And I don't know if she turned away or what, but how Adriana took it was quite the slap in the face. And she's like, why doesn't people like me? It's terrible. So I I texted her again. I found that the only one that I could get through with her. I just said, I sent her a little video on granddaughters, and I said, just miss you. That's all I said.
Mm-hmm.
And she texted me back and she said, don't send me any videos and do not reach out to me. Thanks. So, whoa, this was so disagreement for me, because I was like, oh boy. Oh, what did I do? Okay, I've done terrible things for what, I was like, okay, I did do something. I wasn't as consistent as I would have, should have, could have been. But there was no room for understanding on their part, because I had a few times tried to explain where I was at with Adriana, and it was a little overwhelming. And I know that they didn't understand what I was saying, and there wasn't any meeting me. So I had to, I read it, of course, in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep, and I looked, oh, I got a message. No, don't do that. Mm-hmm. So needless to say, I didn't sleep for a while. And, but by the next morning, I'm like, yeah, I did. This is partially my responsibility. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I couldn't have done differently, because I was trying at the time. I tried and I did the best I could. So I have to let it be what it is. And then this is her story. Well, and her story must be more than what I just said. And, and I don't know what it is. And if she doesn't tell me, it's not mine, and I have to let go of that and let it be.
Yeah.
So that was big.
That's huge. Yeah. You can't yourself up with what she might be thinking and what her story may be. Well done, Janice.
And should I fix it? And I told Adriana, yeah, I did reach out to her, and she just wants us to, well, at least wants me. She's, oh, it's me too. Oh, I'm going to tell her. And she looks going on, and she's, you don't do anything mean to her. I said, well, I have a part. Mm-hmm. I have a part, and I acknowledge it, and I'm sorry, although I know I couldn't have done better. Right. So she had, it was a good lesson for her, because she was just ready to be mean. But it was nice she was defending me. But anyway, so that was wow. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. How do you take that? Let me see.
Yeah, how do you?
I know. So I was looking at, I call them the seeds that of the agreements that what I do is I use these cards, and what it has is it has 12 cards for each agreement. And this is, I learn better this way than reading. If you're like me, just get the cards and I read the cards. Like one of them is be immune to others' opinion. Mm-hmm. And it says on the back, what others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you're immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. Believe me, I could have suffered on that one. I probably not long ago would have suffered. Oh, what did I do wrong? And the tension in my body, and it would have been exactly been something. Yeah, the poison. That's you made mention of it in your affirmation, and you just said it again. And that's when we take other people's opinions on us and absorb them as truth. We poison ourselves. We poison ourselves, and it disconnects us from our connection to our true authentic self. Comparison is, it slowly chips away at our connection to us, our higher self, as we call it, and it really lays the foundation for self-loathing. What I would have done to myself just a few years ago, I would have been a basket case for weeks, probably. Yeah. Yeah. Tremendous growth, Janice. I hope you're doing a better job celebrating. Not good. No. The other one, the other one that I liked, one of my seeds is that this relates to is it's refuse self-judgment. So let's see if I can find it. No, I don't have it. No. Okay. Jen says you did the very best you did I did the very best I could when I was there at the time. Apologies aren't required to be accepted, and forgiveness isn't guaranteed. It hurts, but like the agreement says, don't take it personally. It's more about where that other person is in their journey of healing. Oh, true. Thanks. And I know her mother's voice is very black and white, good and bad. So I do her life, exactly what you're saying, is her life is about black and white, good and bad, for me, against me, kind of thinking. So it's be able to actually do that, is to be able to not take that past the morning. I still feel bad, but
it's there.
Not bad.
Yeah, you're working through it. Yeah. And the other thing I just want to touch on before we start
by the time.
Yeah, before we start wrapping up is, he talks a bit about how the voices in our head, we got a lot of voices in our head that he said thousands of voices that hold conflicting thoughts. So if we're not in conflict with people externally, we're in conflict with our own thoughts because there's so many different things. And we may have this agreement that we made as a child because of what we were taught. And then we've had experiences that challenge that agreement and we don't know what to do with it. So it's in there battling against one another. So when we can sit on the observation deck of not only the external, but the internal without judgment. And the first question you ask is it true? Do I believe this to be true? When I was going off about the beer everywhere and all that, and you're freaking dumbass, blah, 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 I had the other voice in my head going, is it true? Do you really think you're a dumbass? And the voice was like, not anymore. There was a time. Yes, I believe that, but not anymore. Nice. So whether it's external or internal, first question you ask is it true? And take it from there.
And one of the seeds for this one too is release self-judgment. Even the opinions you have about yourself are not necessarily true. You. Therefore, you don't need to take whatever you hear in your own mind personally.
Yes. Perfect. So yes, we want to give you something to think about. Questions for this week. When was the last time you took offense to something that was said to you? What did you think about what was said? Was it true? How did you feel when it was said? And how did you do as a result of taking what was said personally? Did it benefit you in any way? What was the benefit of taking what was said personally, and how did it negatively affect you? So just really, again, if you can get on that observation deck of non-judgment and just be the spectator and observer of your life, it gives you a whole new perspective. That's why we say, where presence invites perspective and allows peace. When we have a different perspective of things, then we can start to process it differently. For your homework for the next week, pay attention to what you take personally and what you do not. This includes your internal dialogue. Do not judge yourself or others, simply observe. Stay focused on collecting data and reminding yourself that other people's words and actions are not about you. It's about them.
Yeah.
Not about you. It's about them.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Remember, don't take anything personally. There is a huge amount of freedom that comes to you when you take nothing personally. Every once in a while we do drop the F-bombs here, but just don't give a fuck.
Oh, that's a whole thing now. Oh no, let it go. Sorry.
Let it go. Oh, there's plenty of songs that will promote letting it go, not caring. Yes.
Let it go.
And it doesn't be barbed wire. It's just, okay, that's where they are, and this is how they're feeling. Is it true? I do not have to accept it. Am I going to accept the poison or am I not? Questions. Give you deeper understanding. So here's the book club schedule. Next week, the 26th, we'll be talking about the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. So we're not going to assume you'll be back. See what I did there?
Yeah, I got it. But they will.
All right. So, as always, we want to thank you for choosing to be here now with us. Please always remember,
You're not alone.
and don't ever forget, you are awesome. Thank you to everybody who commented, Jen and Wendy, and leave comments under the replay of the show if you have anything to share. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.